I mean, down, right? They can't shut it up. So when you're at the lowest point, you'll know because you'll be surrounded by water. There's this. Do you guys know what Taoism is? Like a sort of kind of religion, not really like philosophical belief system. Yeah, lifestyle maybe. And maybe you've heard of Zen. It's like a branch of Buddhism which has some influences from Taoism. Anyway, you're supposed to be like water because water takes the path of least resistance. Flexible, get powerful, get your strength and your flexibility, whatever. But anyway, Jose is obsessed with philosophy shopping. I've never really found a philosophy I could buy, but I like shopping for them. And when I started to dabble in the Taoist writing stuff, there was this, you're supposed to meditate on how everything is on its way to the sea. So like water, everything on land is on its way downhill. So the highest mountain is being worn away to go down to the ocean. And Mount Everest will become sand, will become the ocean ball. And that's like such a nice thing to think about and everything. Until you show up in a city. And then you think, oh yeah, all this is on its way to the ocean too. Like that place where the bum took a crap in front of the fence of the greenhouse a couple days ago. That too is on its way to the sea. And all those dirty diapers that I keep finding where I try to go play soccer with my children at the beach. I don't know why it is, but the Goleta Beach where we had Toby's birthday party, like for some reason there was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 like different brands, like baby diapers, like on the ground with free trash cans everywhere. I think I've had a pretty good record with my children and their diapers, that they usually found the trash can for the disposables. Look at all these things that end up going to the ocean. It's what we call the urban runoff. Our waterborne debris. Fecal matter and bacteria. I mean, think of all the dogs in this city. I believe Santa Barbara, on average, has like 0.9 dogs for every human. So we've got like 27 or more thousand dogs in Santa Barbara. Like, maybe the owners pick up a couple of those screws sometimes. The rest go into my ear when I go diving. Not only is there all that dog poo, there's all that poo and all the baby diapers. Plus, dirtbags like me, we like to pee outside every chance we get. Plus, there are the destitutes who don't actually have reliable access to flushing toilets, so they poo wherever they kind of have to. Those are all D words: dogs, diapers, dirtbags, and the destitute. Think of all the chemicals that are used in agriculture and in yards and in golf courses. My God, the golf courses. Each golf course drinks more water than like 4 city blocks or something. All that water is just runoff with just truckfuls of whatever they use to fertilize their grass. Think of all the plastic and cigarette butts. And you know something I see a lot in rivers is those clear cellophane packs on cigarettes. You know what I'm talking about? When you get a cigarette pack, they're wrapped in clear plastic. And they have this thing that you unwrap and pull off the top. And then this clear sleeve. Yeah, those. I find those in rivers all the time, but all the plastic cups, like parties on a windy night when everybody's confused and distracted and all those plastic cups blow around and get caught in the bushes and God knows where they end up. When I go diving at the Goleta Pier, it's like the constituent of the sea bottom is the red plastic cups. There are way too many to count. Hundreds. I went diving for lobster shortly. No, it wasn't for lobster. It was for shrimp. Right after one of the flotopias. You know what flotopia is?
Yeah.
This party that they used to have in Ala Vista a long time ago. They're now illegal, I believe. Right. So it used to be a beach party. And I went into the water right after one of those, and there was a stunning volume of red plastic cups down there. Think of all the oil. Like, how many of you have to add oil to your car sometimes? Like, check the dipstick and then add oil? Okay. The volume you have to add is because that volume is now missing. Do we agree? You lose a cup, so you got to add a cup, right? The cup you lost, does everybody realize that exactly 1 full cup of that is going to go to the ocean? I had this epiphany moment on a rainy day a couple of years ago. I pulled into a gas station right when another car was pulling in front of me. So I went, and we both parked looking at each other. I get out of the car, start pumping gas, get back into my car because it was raining. And the guy in front of me opens his hood, checks his dipstick, had to go inside. He bought 2 quarts of oil. He comes back and he goes, glug, 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 and puts 2 quarts of oil into his car. He was just getting the oil, so as he pulls out, my thing goes click. I get out of the car, put away the thingamabobber, tighten up the other chingadera, get in the car, turn on my engine, get ready to drive away. Right as I do that, I realize, oh dang, I have to reverse because the Pennzoil guy is delivering oil to the gas station. So right as I'm like doing my 5-point turn to get out of there, I look over my shoulder and I see the pallet jack where the guy has like a pallet shrink wraps of cases of motor oil. And I was like, doing the math in my brain, right? That pallet of motor oil is because the gas station has sold 1 pallet of motor oil since their last delivery. They've sold that much motor oil because customers needed to replace the oil that fell out of their cars. The oil that fell out of their cars is on its way to the ocean right now because it just started to rain. And it made me realize, like, we could all save ourselves the trouble if we just drove that Pennzoil truck off the pier right now. And that put me in such a bad mood. I was in a really bad mood for days after that. Because I was leaving school, doing the water unit like this, and then as I drove down Milford, it was like, there's another stop for the Pennzoil man, and here's another gas station for the Pennzoil man, and here's another stop for the Pennzoil guy. And you guys notice that Milford has like 37 million gas stations? Yeah.
Some of your used oil is trying to sludge, you're not quite able to replace it.
So I get some volume in it, but
so this just burned off.
But the burn off all goes back to the ocean usually, because oil doesn't burn very cleanly. It leaves a lot of particulates, so that becomes condensation nuclei and gets rain. Atmospheric deposition accounts for something like 50% of all the petroleum in the ocean, 45% of all the petroleum in the ocean. Like all the surface runoff and all the oil accidents are less than 10% of the petroleum in the ocean, of the oil in the ocean. Yeah.
There's a bunch of birds showing up in out there right now, all covered in tar and oil and stuff. They think it's from our leaks out here, but nobody's aware of anything leaking like more than usual.
That's strange. I didn't know about that uptick in bird life.
And then there's
like 80 birds, so it's the first time you heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you guys forward me this information or put it on the web or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, I think of all the urban runoff, and then I think, what's better? Like, how would we do this any better? If our cities let all the rainfall soak into the ground, we would need a lot of land dedicated to recharge. if we use our land for people, which in the city kind of makes sense, then should we be filtering all that runoff? How could we afford that? Kind of a tricky proposition. Cities have to make this bad choice between urban runoff and recharge. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a bunch of small reservoirs next to houses for recharge. Because you said the reservoirs are recharge, so if you take all the rain together and sort it directly into the reservoir.
Yeah, by the way, probably the easiest place to solve this is property by property.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like small scale.
Yeah, right. And coincidentally, that could probably provide some benefits to your landscaping in your house. Instead of shaping your landscape like this, if you shape it like this, like a moat around your house, you have a little drawbridge, but then you have like a wetland thing which would recharge, and then your trees wouldn't need as much irrigation water, and you would keep water from flooding into your street so that your oil drips aren't as likely to travel as far. Just so that you all know, a lot of our cutting-edge water management stuff is to do what he just said. To get more recharge on a house-by-house basis so that each of our houses contributes less to the total urban runoff of the city. Yeah?
If we didn't have the rain causing the runoff with the oil and everything, wouldn't all the street sweeping that we do kind of still do that? Like, what do they... When they sweep the streets, that oil's got to go somewhere.
No, I'm not sure how that works. No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's no way around it. Once it's stripped out of your car, it'll pretty much end up in the ocean. Like, an oil drip on the ground really can't be kept from the ocean unless you had some way to soak it up and then contain it in infinitely long-term storage. Because if it goes back in the ground somewhere, like in a landfill, that'll make it to the ocean eventually. Yeah.
Is there any way to catch it so it doesn't strip out? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you can get like little trays that go under there. You fill them with cat litter and sawdust or something. But then when you put that into the trash can that goes to the landfill, that most likely will go out to the ocean. Like our new cutting-edge landfill has a liner, so most of the oil is contained there, but I still don't know where it goes after that containment.
Right.
Okay. Enough bad news about runoff. Here comes some other kind of bad news. Can anybody say that word? What?
Ogallala.
What?
Ogallala.
Anybody else?
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else?
Ogallala.
Well, where is aquifer?
You good. Ogallala, apparently. Ogallala. This is the biggest aquifer in the world, and we have it. The Ogallala holds more fresh water than all the planet's surface water combined. Underneath this chunk of the U.S., from South Dakota, almost all of Nebraska? Is that Nebraska?
Yeah.
Nebraska. Kansas, Oklahoma, and part of Texas. They have more water than the planet's entire surface water supply combined. More than all the rivers plus all the lakes. This is the world's largest single aquifer. It adds up to more than all the planet's fresh surface water. It's really old water. It was mostly deposited back then when the receding ice caps made a lot of melt across the middle of the U.S. The Ogallala aquifer is a trapped aquifer. Imagine this. Please look up. When you get a collision between tectonic plates, sometimes it'll lift up, which makes another part seesaw down. See, look, we had a flat continental crust, but kicking up the Rockies made a depression below the Rockies. So this is like a bowl just east of the Continental Divide.